Big battle for Bihar heats up. Rahul renews poll rigging charge. ECI fact checks Rahul, says charge unsubstantiated. BJP rains fire on Rahul defaming institutions. Valid charge or hollow rhetoric?
And well, even as parties gear up for elections in Bihar Lok Sabha, LOP Rahul Gandhi, who's launched a scathing attack against the BJP. He said that Maharashtra elections last year were rigged to favor the BJP. Not just that, he feels that Bihar is coming next. However, his allegations got a quick rebuttal from the Election Commission, which said that the entire voting process occurred in front of polling agents appointed by political parties. And that why didn't Congress raise any complaint before the Maharashtra polls? The BJP, meanwhile, has dismissed Rahul Gandhi's remarks outrightly and has accused him of spreading falsehoods to preempt an expected defeat in Bihar. As political temperatures rise ahead of Bihar elections, these sharp exchanges hint at a fiercely contested battle, one that's likely to keep both voters and observers on the edge in the days to come. First, we'll take a look at this report.
The political temperatures in Bihar are soaring as parties gear up for battleground Bihar. Rahul Gandhi drops a bombshell. The leader of opposition has accused the BJP of rigging polls in Maharashtra assembly elections last year. The Gandhi sign claimed that 2024 Maharashtra elections was a blueprint of rigging the democracy, which began by appointments in the Election Commission. Further escalating his attack, Rahul accused the BJP of adding fake voters to the voter list and then getting bogus voting done. Rahul even cautioned that a similar formula will be applied in Bihar. These remarks have stoked a massive political storm. The Congress rallying behind Rahul claimed that genuine voters were removed from the voter list and there was substantial proof.
लाखों वोटर all of a sudden वोटर बन जा रहे और जो ऑथेंटिक वोटर्स थे वो ऑल ऑफ अ सडन 1-1.5-2 महीने के भीतर वो वोटिंग लिस्ट से गायब हो रहे। तो इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया के पाले में गेंद है, वो अपनी पोजीशन क्लेरिफाई करे और बिहार के चुनाव में या आने वाली किसी भी चुनाव में इस प्रकार की धांधली न हो, वो सुनिश्चित करेंगे।
Other opposition parties have echoed a similar tone.
उनको झूठ का आशीर्वाद मिल रहा है, उनको फरेब का आशीर्वाद मिल रहा है, उनको फ्रॉड का आशीर्वाद मिल रहा है, उनको चुनाव आयोग के द्वारा की जा रही धांधली का और प्रशासन के द्वारा की जा रही धांधली का आशीर्वाद मिल रहा है। तो अगर उसके भरोसे वो चुनाव जीतना चाहते हैं तो फिर चुनाव की निष्पक्षता पे तो सवाल उठेगा ही उठेगा।
The ECI snubbed Rahul and urged him not to spread misinformation and repeat the unsubstantiated allegations that were already clarified. The poll body claimed voting was held in front of the polling agents and electoral rolls were given to Congress. It also claimed that no complaints were raised before Maharashtra polls. The BJP reminded Congress that it never raises the EVM issue when they win in state elections.
मैं हमेशा ये कहता हूँ कि जब तक राहुल गांधी जमीन पर नहीं उतरेंगे, तथ्यों को जब तक वो नहीं समझेंगे, अपने आप को झूठा आश्वासन और झूठा दिलासा देंगे, तब तक उनकी पार्टी कभी जीत नहीं सकती।
विगत 15 वर्षों में जितने चुनाव राहुल गांधी जी के नेतृत्व में पूरे देश भर में लड़े गए, 99% चुनाव में फेल हो गए हो। क्या सब जगह पे ईवीएम खराब? और यदि आपके पास कुछ पुख्ता सबूत है, किसने रोका आपको? क्यों नहीं जाते न्यायपालिका में? क्या उस पर भी आपका भरोसा नहीं है?
With polls in Bihar due in a few months, will Rahul's charges of election rigging strike a chord among voters? Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me on the broadcast are Dr. Anshul Avijit. He's the national spokesperson of the Congress. Also, Mr. Tuhin Sinha, who's the national spokesperson for the BJP. I want to welcome you both for joining us on the broadcast this morning. Dr. Anshul Avijit, I first want to come to you because this is seemingly becoming a trend for the Congress to raise such allegations, especially before an election or after they've lost an election. And this time around, again, the BJP is countering the Congress, saying that it is the back-to-back losses that is making you speak like this. Are you anticipating a sense of defeat before the Bihar polls that you're talking like this?
No, it's just not after the polls or, back-to-back losses. That's got nothing to do with it. The fact is that there has been somewhat of an institutional ambush by the BJP of everything that, promotes democracy in this country. The institutions have been severely compromised by this government, the first and foremost being the Election Commission. It's nothing to do with it has fine officers. It's nothing to do with the Election Commission per se. It's just the fact that these institutions are being misused, completely weaponized by the BJP to remain in power. It's a charge we've been saying all along. It's not just after the Maharashtra polls. This was a severe case in point. And in this article, Rahul Gandhi ji, members of the Congress party in Maharashtra who were there on the ground have repeatedly brought out the evidence. There's a sudden spike in voters, there's bogus voting. How do you account for it? It hadn't happened in the past 5 years. And in the 6 months preceding the elections, suddenly you have an increase of 48 lakh voters. What accounts for that? Where did they suddenly come from? Why was the appointers, those who are neutral appointees or election commissioners to the state, why was that interfered with? There has been a number of charges and allegations leveled. The Election Commission hasn't come out with an answer. We've been repeatedly saying that come out, show us how this is certainly possible. What the BJP keeps saying is approach the courts. That's a very fine thing to say, right? Because the BJP believes in the process being the punishment. So you can keep approaching the courts, you can keep taking rounds of courts, but the matter will be just swept away. This is an allegation. It is a very, very serious allegation. It is an allegation against all the institutions, the sacred institutions of the state that have been compromised. It's not just the Election Commission. It is the ED, it is the income tax. Everything is weaponized for the sake of the party, the BJP, remaining in power. And that's an absolute shame. So while we keep saying that there is democracy here, there is somewhat of a hollow democracy or a less than a democracy here because the elections are not fair as they seem to be. That is the allegation we're saying. And we have an apprehension that with the forthcoming Bihar elections coming up, the pattern will be repeated.
All right. Dr. Anshul, I have a couple of points to make for all that you've said. But before that, I'm just going to give Tuhin Sinha a chance to respond to all that you've said, after which I come back to you. Tuhin, over to you.
Well, Suyesha, the defeatist rants of Rahul Gandhi is an abject surrender from Rahul Gandhi just before the Bihar elections. You know, if you look at some of the points made by him, when he talks about a surge post 5:30, in the voting percentage, that is based on the details provided in the statutory form 17C. And this form has been monitored throughout by the representatives, by the polling agents of the candidates, by the authorized polling agents of the candidates. So at no point of time were the Congress candidates kept in the dark. If he has any evidence of Congress candidates kept in the dark, he must make it known to the public. Otherwise, this allegation simply does not hold. Now, Rahul Gandhi himself has quoted multiple different figures of the total increase in new voters. At one point of time, he mentioned 70 lakhs. At one point of time, he mentioned 90 lakhs. And now he mentions 40 lakhs. And, all of this has happened. He has mentioned 3 different figures in a span of 1 month, which only shows that he is also not clear. But where do these new voters come from? Does Rahul Gandhi, does he not want the voting list to be updated? It happens before every election. Before the Karnataka Assembly election, 16 lakh new voters were added. So it's a normal process. Of course, Rahul Gandhi sees something red in everything because he refuses to self-analyze his defeats. He's accusing Prime Minister Modi of changing the pattern, changing the process of appointment of new Chief Election Commissioner. For the first time, the leader of opposition is being taken into confidence on this matter. Does he not appreciate that? So there are multiple things I can point out. The only party in this country which has misused, which has brazenly indulged in electoral malpractices is the Congress party. And this is corroborated through the 1975 judgment of the Allahabad High Court, which disqualified Indira Gandhi on the pretext, on the grounds of electoral malpractices in the previous election of 1971. They had TN Session, fight elections on a Congress ticket barely a year or two after he quit as chief election commissioner. So this Congress party should not lecture us on electoral propriety, on electoral integrity. We all know the true character of this Congress party.
All right, Tuhin, Rahul Gandhi has specific questions. I'll come to you with that. But before that, Dr. Anshul, I want to give you a chance to respond to what Tuhin has said, also to add 2 points to it. Firstly, varying numbers that Rahul Gandhi has been giving. And I just want to take you back to November 2024, when the Congress had spoken about EVM malfunction yet again. In fact, Mallikarjun Kharge had again spoken about how one should switch back to paper ballots. And at that time, your own leaders had countered you, saying that there is no problem with the EVM, and an internal survey that had revealed that Congress was heading towards a loss in Maharashtra. So why is it that the timing is so precarious?
All the questions that have been pointed out by Mr. Rahul Gandhi is not related to EVMs. It's related to a composite attack on the democratic structure and the electioneering process. Where do EVMs just come into this? You know, he said that there's a sudden burst in voter turnout. There is a sudden burst.
But those numbers have also not stayed consistent.
No, but exactly my point. Then they should come out with it. There is complete lack of transparency in what is the actual statements and facts on the ground. Suddenly you have a surge in the voters list in the 5 months preceding the elections. How does that happen? In the past 5 years, it never happened. Suddenly in the 5 months, it raises a suspicion of doubt, certainly. These are the things that have been brought out in this pointed questions that have been asked of the Election Commission and particularly of this government, which seems to run the Election Commission with a ruthless hand. Let me talk about Form 17. I, by the way, fought an election from Patna Sahib in that 2024 election. I know exactly what the electioneering process is about. This is the Form 17 thief, first of all, is not always transparent. It's not always filled. The administration makes sure that it never comes out. That the people who are in the booths from your own party perhaps are not given access to that. They're not given time to even fill up that form. The fact that it's accessible to all and it's filled up and that is some kind of parameter of evidence is simply not true. That does not exist. That has to be accounted for by the Election Commission as well. We have been asking for a number of things, including CCTV footage, including voters lists, other things to be made transparent. We've been asking the Election Commission to bring out a number of things that make the entire process completely transparent and democratic. That hasn't been forthcoming at all. So we are left with no other choice but to ask and raise these questions. They have been raised all along, and it's not just the Election Commission. Let me tell you, as I've said before, this is a complete composite attack on all democratic forms.
Okay. Dr. Anshul, I'm going to come back to you with EC's response to that, because the BJP has also been alleging that basically the Congress is just systematically trying to erode people's faith in their institutions. But before that, Tuhin, I want your response on the allegation that Rahul Gandhi has leveled, where he's called it rig the panel for appointment of umpires. Now, he's primarily claiming that the selection committee under the new law is heavily tilted towards the centre, and he's asked why a cabinet minister was placed instead of the CJI inside the selection committee. Why would someone go out of their way to remove a neutral arbiter in an important institution? What's your response to that?
You know, compared to the UPA era, where it was completely unilateral, here the leader of opposition is on board. So he should appreciate that. Point is that it will always be tilted in favor of the government because it's the government's prerogative. You know, like I mentioned, the Congress's own history is besmirched. It's so evil that they have absolutely no grounds to confront us on this. And you should read the clarification provided by the Election Commission on the specific complaints of Rahul Gandhi.
Yes.
It is very clearly mentioned during assembly elections in Maharashtra, 6,40,87,588 electors who reached the polling station from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. voted. About 58 lakhs were polled per hour on an average. Going by these average trends, nearly 116 lakh voters could have voted in the last 2 hours, therefore casting of 65 lakh votes by electors in 2 hours is much below the average hourly voting trends. Now, what is there to not understand? This is a Congress party which refuses to understand simple communication by the DGMO, by our external affairs minister, and now they are similarly applying that misinterpretation to the election commission. You know, fact is, the three state governments of Congress today are known only for their fiscal profligacy and administrative anarchy. They know that they are losing Bihar, and therefore, you know, Rahul Gandhi has, like I mentioned at the start, surrendered before the Bihar elections. There is no other way to look at his repeated grouse when repeated clarifications have been provided by the election commission on the issue.
Okay, just to play devil's advocate here, Tuhin, I just want to say that there have also been instances when the Congress has written to the Election Commission again and again, but immediate attention is given to when the BJP files a complaint. But Dr. Anshul, I want to come back to you here with the point that the EC has also responded to what you've said, where they've said that the entire voting process has occurred in front of polling agents that have been appointed by the political parties, and they've not raised substantiated concerns about abnormal voting. The EC has also said that it appears that all this has been ignored by the Congress party, that they continue to raise this issue again and again. Do you think that the Congress has also put out this properly in the public domain? Because to blame the EC over and over, and let's understand, we live in the times of social media. So if there is concrete evidence to provide and put down an institution, then why don't you put it out?
No, what else is concrete evidence? I mean, this is circumstantial evidence, if you like. You can call it whatever you want. I mean, these figures are highly suspicious. How do you account for them? First of all, the appointment of the panel, as you pointed out, the neutrality of the panel itself, it begins all from there. It flows right from there. Then you have a point about the voters list. Then you have bogus voting, the charges of bogus voting. There are a number of charges, and then also the questions that are asked repeatedly by the election commission. Why don't they simply bring it out? Why don't they convince the opposition party, the Congress party, the leader of the opposition? The Congress party has 9,900 seats in the parliament. Convince them that this is a fair and square process, that yes, democracy is not being compromised. Do you think the onus is on them? Right? We've already brought out substantial matter in the entire article, but this is not it. This is not, this article wasn't standalone. These charges about the election process being compromised were brought out much earlier. It was immediately after the Maharashtra elections. In fact, we've been saying all kinds of things all along about it. There have been deep suspicions about the way the elections are conducted. And I'm not talking about other things about how any party wins the election, on what basis it wins the election, on playing with emotions or bringing religion into politics and other things. We're talking about brute statistical electoral policy and elections. And here there is a cause for enormous doubt. We brought it out point by point in this article, not for the first time. And now the election commission and this government has to really answer for that. Now, it's not forfeiting anything. It has nothing to do, by the way, Sirsha, there's nothing to do with the Bihar election, which we are set to win. We are just alerting the election commission again about the apprehensions that we have, the misgivings that we have. So they're not repeated. It has nothing to do, if we don't repeat them, then democracy will never work. This is our bounden duty to do that.
Right. Dr. Anshul, I only have 3 minutes on the show, so I want to give both of you a chance to make your closing comments. But I just want to ask you one thing. This is not the way the Congress speaks when they win an election. You know, these kind of statements only come when they're losing an election or just before the election is about to start. Would you agree? What do you have to say to this? After which, Tuhin, you make your closing comment.
Well, Suesha,
yes,
the Congress...
Dr. Anshul, let him finish, after which I come to you. Yes.
Sorry, whom did you...
I asked you that question. I asked you, Dr. Anshul. Yes, yes,
okay.
I asked
you.
You.
All right. What was... no, absolutely not. I mean, where there is evidence that there has been, when the numbers are suspicious, the voters list is suspicious, there's evidence of bogus voting, where the numbers suddenly flare up after a particular time, there is justification for being suspicious and therefore asking questions. These are pointed questions. Who do we ask then the questions to? We can't internalize them. They have to be put in the public domain. We've been doing that all along. There have been serious misgivings about the conduct of elections, and these are the time. Maharashtra election was one such time. The evidence is there before you. We are asking for answers. That is all.
Okay. Tuhin, Your closing comments, and also if you could respond to Dr. Anshul saying that the Congress is confident that they are winning the Bihar elections. What do you have to say?
Well, you know, this Congress party has been extremely dubious on the issue of criticizing the election commission. If you recall, till October last year, till the Haryana elections, they had concentrated their attack around EVMs. When they realized that EVM, you know, the attacks on EVM was not finding takers even within their own party. You know, leaders like Bhupendra Hooda, who had actually lost, would say that, you know, there is no fault with the EVM. That is when they changed their strategy and they started attacking the voter turnout. This attack will equally fizzle out. Point is, you know, the Congress does not stand a chance in Bihar. Anshul is well aware of the politics of Bihar. He has fought elections from there. He knows that in the last 3.5 decades, Congress does not have any base in Bihar. It is piggybacking on Lalu Yadav, but Lalu Yadav's own credibility is zilch right now. So the Congress is facing a rout in Bihar yet again, and that is why I repeat, they have surrendered today.
Right. Quick response, Dr. Anshul, because I'm really out of time. From EVM tampering to now saying that arbitrary changes are made to the voter list. Quick response, after which I close this.
No, I've said what all my responses are there. The Congress party has continuously made responses. To my friend Tuhin, I will say that why else would the Prime Minister go to Bihar and try and actually play up Pahalgaon instead of focusing on development, given no figures on development of what he's actually done. Actually, he went to Bihar to inaugurate an airport which was 20 years late. They've been in power for 20 years and they haven't done anything.
I'm really sorry. I'll have to close this here. I'm really running out of time. Tuhin, make your last comment, after which I close this.
Let me tell you that the Prime Minister's visits were pre-scheduled on the day, you know, 2 days after Pahalgam attack. When he went there, it was for a Swamitwa function where people from across the country had assembled. And, you know, what is Anshul's problem if he gives a warning to Pakistan?
I apologize. I want to thank you both for joining us this evening. I'm really running out of time, but I think both of you have had a fair chance to put forth what you want us to say. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news. I want to thank you for watching India Today. For more news and updates, you can log on to indiatoday.in and you can also download our app. Thank you for watching.